We're back, and a federal judge is ordering the State Department to try to find emails that Hillary Clinton said related to Benghazi. Now, the judge ruled the State Department had not done enough in the past to track down those conversations. So, yes, we are talking about Benghazi again. Judge Andrew Napolitano is here with us in the studio, and it's hard to believe this story is still around.
Well,
but what happened exactly with those emails?
Here's why the story is around. Because the Obama Justice Department, the Obama Justice Department and State Department refused to examine the State Department servers for emails Mrs. Clinton sent to her personal aides and emails the aides sent to her.
What did they examine?
They examined the 33,000 emails that Mrs. Clinton returned.
Oh,
remember,
okay.
she destroyed 30,000, returned 33.
So they just looked at the ones that she gave them.
They also looked at the ones that the FBI retrieved from her half-destroyed server, the ones it could extract from there. The FBI sent to the State Department, and they went through and decided which are relevant, which are irrelevant, which are classified, and which are not, and they surrendered those. But they refused to examine the emails to and from the 3 closest aides.
Why?
No reason given. But here's the interesting thing, and here's why I'm so animated by this.
Yeah.
The lawyers who represented the Obama State Department are the same lawyers who represented the Trump State Department, and they made the exact same argument. If you didn't see the date, you would think this oral argument was a year ago. So the Obama State Department, Obama Justice Department, Trump State Department, Trump Justice Department, all protecting Mrs. Clinton. It seems incredible if you listen to what the president said when he was candidate Trump.
That was like the last conversation we had. We don't know who's raising money for who or who's against who. And why? Why? Do you know? Because
they, in their opinion, it was too much work and it was unlikely to produce anything. And 33,000 emails is enough.
That was the argument.
Yes, and a federal judge appointed by President Obama said, guess what? It's not enough. You will go through all the State Department servers. You will retrieve every email Mrs. Clinton sent to these 3 aides, every email they sent to her, every email they sent to each other during the time period in question, which is the day before Benghazi to January of the following
Who's
year.
doing that? Some State Department's doing that now?
Same State Department that was drawn into court yesterday kicking and screaming is going to be doing it. Yes, so, same State Department that wants to protect Mrs. Clinton's privacy is still going to be doing it.
So there'll be some staffers going through all of these emails, and then do they look to see if it's Benghazi's in there themselves?
Yes.
And then they tell the court, or how does that work?
How it works, you surrender what you're going to surrender. What you're not going to surrender, you make a schedule of, and you give the reason for not surrendering it, so that the reason can be challenged before a federal judge. So we found 10,000 emails. Here's 7,000. Here's the reasons why we're not going to give you the other 3,000. You could challenge each one individually. A judge looks at them in private and decides yes, no, yes, no. When judges do this, they almost always end up saying yes. Surrender. Surrender.
Well, it is interesting to go back to your earlier point that both administrations made the same argument, which was, at least what you're telling us essentially was, hey, you're probably not going to find anything here. Is that a legal argument, or, I mean, how do they articulate that?
It's a very good question. It is not a legal argument in that it comes from the statute, but the judicial interpretations of the statute have said, if you reach the point of diminishing returns, if you have a truckload of documents still to go through and it's like a needle in a haystack, come to court and ask for relief. And that's basically what they say.
There's no, like, line there where you know where that point is.
There's no bright line. It's, we're not going to find anything until we find out, wait a minute, did you even look? These are at us.gov. These are in government servers, and you didn't even look.
Man, it's crazy, right?
Now, I wish that this Obama-appointed judge had said, by the way, why is the Jeff Sessions Justice Department defending Hillary Clinton?
What's going on here? What's going on here?
Question wasn't asked, and so it wasn't answered.
Right before, last hour, we had another judge in here. Neil on his show only books Italian judges. Cabello, now Napolitano. And we were talking about the
Also from New Jersey?
Not that there's anything wrong with that, New Jersey. We're talking about the Manafort raid, right, yesterday. And what do you think comes out of that? I mean, his point was you can't always assume just because they go and raid somebody's house that there's necessarily something there. It could very easily be that they're trying to scare somebody, in this case Manafort, maybe try to flip a witness, something like that.
The answer is yes, I generally agree with this other judge. However, this is the most potent weapon that the FBI and the Justice Department has, an unannounced pre-dawn raid on a private residence. They can't do this on their own. In order to do this, they need a search warrant.
Right.
In order to get the search warrant, they have to testify under oath what they're looking for, why they think it's there, why they think it's evidence of a crime and why they can't get it by a less intrusive means. And once they persuade the federal judge of this, then she'll sign, as she did in July, a search warrant.
What does that mean? Less intrusive means? Does that mean that they have to say that, hey, we couldn't have called him up and asked him to surrender?
It means
these?
we called him up and we don't think he was telling us the truth. He has a very sophisticated lawyer, a former Justice Department lawyer himself. This is why it's so startling to us in the legal community, Colin, because it is so rare that the Justice Department will do this to someone who's represented by counsel who used to work with them.
Right. These are strange times. Both of the stories are
their
strange.
goal, I think, is to indict Manafort for something, hold the indictment over his head, and see if he'll spill any beans on Donald Trump. They're obviously after Trump.
Right.
They're not after Manafort to begin with.
Of course not. Right. And that's the whole idea. Good to see you, Judge. Thank you.
Likewise.